The stars hung like scattered diamonds in the endless black sky, as Captain Aaron Voss guided the small human scout ship through the outer rim of the Zelthar cluster. He had heard stories of this region, vast nebulae, strange radiation storms, and most of all, rumors of an alien race unlike any humans had met before. But nothing in the reports had prepared him for the moment when the strange soft hum of the nebula's energy shifted, and a tiny ship materialized in front of him, as if it had appeared from nowhere. Aaron blinked, gripping the control console tightly. The ship was sleek, almost delicate, with colors that shimmered and changed like liquid light. Before he could react, the ship sent out a gentle pulse. His instruments went haywire, and a voice, clear, musical, and entirely alien, filled his cabin. "Hello, human," it said. Aaron's eyes widened. I'm Captain Aaron Voss. Who are you?" There was a soft laugh like the tinkling of tiny bells. "I am Lyra," the voice replied. "I have been waiting for someone interesting." "Interesting?" Aaron repeated, his voice shaky. I'm just a scout. I'm not—" Lyra's laugh cut him off, playful and mischievous. No, you misunderstand. You are exactly what I want." Before he could respond, a soft shimmer surrounded him and his surroundings blurred. When the world settled again, Aaron was no longer in his ship, or at least it seemed that way. He was in a place that looked like a garden made of light. Plants glowed softly and strange flowers moved as if they had their own thoughts. The sky was not sky. It was a swirl of colors that shifted and shimmered like a living painting. Aaron stumbled. Where am I?" "You are in my world," said Lyra, stepping out from behind a glowing tree. She looked like a child, small and light, but there was an intelligence in her eyes that made Aaron's chest tighten. "Do not be afraid. You will not be harmed. At least, not in ways you fear." Aaron tried to process it. He had expected aliens to be big, imposing, perhaps even hostile. Instead, this being was playful, almost childlike, but with an aura of power he couldn't deny. I don't understand," he admitted. "Why me?" Lyra tilted her head. "Because you are human, and humans are curious, clever, bold. You are different from the others." Aaron swallowed. He was used to being called bold, clever, or brave, but something in her tone made him nervous. "Different? How?" Lyra grinned, a small, mischievous smile. "You will see." Before he could question her further, a flash of light surrounded him again. When it faded, he found himself on a floating platform above a sparkling river of liquid light. Creatures with long, silken wings darted above the water, leaving trails of glittering particles behind them. The air hummed with energy, and every sound seemed amplified, like the world itself was alive. Aaron's hand went instinctively to his sidearm, but he realized he didn't feel threatened. Not yet. Instead, curiosity and awe washed over him. This is incredible," he whispered. Lyra floated next to him, giggling. "Do you like it?" Yes, it's beautiful, but—" He stopped, feeling a sudden tug at his mind. It was subtle at first, like a whisper brushing against his thoughts. Then it grew stronger, playful, insistent. "Wait, what is that?" Lyra's eyes sparkled. "A little trick? Nothing harmful. I like to play with visitors. Humans always react so dramatically." Aaron felt a shiver run down his spine. He wasn't sure whether to be annoyed or fascinated. You can affect my mind?" "Only a little," Lyra said with a shrug. "Just enough to make things fun." The human frowned but couldn't help smiling despite himself. "You're mischievous, and you are very serious," she replied. "That is why this will be amusing." Before he could respond, the ground beneath him shimmered and changed. Suddenly, Aaron was standing on a giant chessboard made of floating light tiles. The pieces themselves were alive, tiny creatures that hopped and chirped, forming the shapes of rooks, knights, and pawns. "Welcome to my game," Lyra said, bouncing on her toes. You will play with me. If you win, I will tell you a secret about the Zelthar cluster. If you lose... She waved her hand and a cloud of glittering light surrounded him, tickling his skin. You will be my guest a little longer. Aaron sighed, realizing there was no way to refuse. Fine, he muttered. What are the rules? Lyra tilted, her head, her grin widening. You must think like me. That is the only rule. And with that, the game began. The pieces moved of their own accord, sliding across the glowing tiles with surprising speed and intelligence. Aaron tried to anticipate their movements using strategy and logic, but Lyra always seemed one step ahead. Every time he captured a piece, a ripple of soft laughter echoed through the air. Every time he missed, the pieces danced mockingly, almost teasing him. Hours, or maybe minutes, passed. Aaron lost track of time in this strange, vibrant world. He was exhausted, frustrated, and strangely exhilarated all at once. Finally, he realized something important. He was learning. The way Lyra thought, the way she predicted his moves, it was unlike anything he had encountered. Humans were clever, yes, but they relied on rules and logic. Lyra, she relied on play, on instinct, on emotion. Why are you letting me win now? He asked breathlessly as he captured the queen, the final piece. Lyra clapped her hands, sending sparks of light into the air. I am not letting you win, you are learning, that is what I want. Aaron blinked. Learning? About what? About humans, she said, floating closer. You are not like the others. Most humans are predictable. You are unpredictable, bold, clever, and yet willing to learn. That is fascinating. Aaron's chest swelled. For the first time in his life, he felt genuinely seen by someone, or something, completely different from him. And what do you gain from this? He asked cautiously. Lyra's eyes twinkled. Amusement, curiosity, and perhaps understanding. We all learn in different ways, human. You teach me about humans. I teach you about everything else. The human frowned. Everything else? You will see, she said, her voice softening. But for now, you must rest. Even clever humans need rest. Before he could protest, a gentle wave of energy enveloped him. His mind grew foggy, his eyelids heavy, and the strange, beautiful world of Lyra's domain faded into darkness. When he woke, he was back on his ship, floating in the black expanse of the Zelthar cluster. Instruments flickered and beeped, and the nebula outside shimmered softly. For a moment he wondered if it had all been a dream. But on his console a small crystal shimmered, a gift, Lyra's token, glowing with shifting colors. Aaron picked it up, feeling the warmth and the faint pulse of energy within. He smiled. This was no ordinary encounter. The universe was larger, stranger, and far more playful than he had imagined. And somewhere out there, Lyra was waiting, ready to challenge him again. For the first time, he didn't feel alone in the galaxy. He had met an alien unlike any other, and he had survived her. Games. Captain Aaron Voss floated in the quiet of space, staring at the small crystal Lyra had given him. Its colors shifted constantly, blues into greens, golds into purples, and it pulsed with a rhythm almost like a heartbeat. He didn't understand its purpose, but he felt a strange connection, as if it were a key to something larger. The human scout ship drifted silently through the Zelthar cluster. The nebula stretched endlessly, glowing with streaks of violet and orange. Aaron ran simulations, in his mind, trying to rationalize the encounter. It must have been an advanced alien holographic system, or some kind of psychic projection, he muttered to himself. But deep down, he knew it was something far more alive. A soft chime echoed through his ship. Aaron's console flickered. A holographic projection appeared. It was Lyra, her form shimmering in the air like liquid light. "Hello, human," she said, her voice still playful. "Did you enjoy my games?" Aaron swallowed. I did. But I need answers. Who are you? Why do you do this? Lyra floated closer, her tiny form radiating warmth. Answers come slowly. Knowledge is not a gift to be given all at once, but for you, I will show more. You have proven clever, and cleverness deserves attention. She waved her hand, and the ship around Arin dissolved into starlight. Suddenly, he was no longer on his ship but standing on a floating platform high above a swirling energy storm. Lightning-like arcs of color twisted and danced beneath him. It was dangerous, yet there was no fear. Lyra hovered beside him, smiling. Your world is rules, patterns, and logic, she said. My world is fluid. To survive, you must adapt. Arin studied the storm below. Adapt? How? What am I supposed to do? Observe first. Then, act, she replied, flicking her hand. A small sphere of energy hovered before him, pulsing softly. This is a challenge. You must cross the storm safely. Watch carefully. Think carefully. Arin took a deep breath. His human instincts kicked in. He examined the arcs of energy. They moved in repeating sequences, but there were subtle differences, small gaps that appeared randomly. It reminded him of human pattern recognition puzzles, but faster, more chaotic. He stepped forward carefully onto the first floating platform. It hovered just above the storm, trembling with each pulse of energy. The platforms shifted in unpredictable ways, and arcs of energy cracked the air dangerously. Close, Lyra clapped her hands. Yes, watch the flow. Use your mind and your instincts. Human cleverness is fascinating. Arin moved slowly, analyzing each shift. His body tensed with every step, but he began to notice patterns, small repetitions in the arcs, rhythms in the storm. Using logic combined with intuition, he predicted the safest moments to jump. Each time he succeeded, he felt a surge of confidence. Very good, Lyra said, spinning in the air. But can you handle a twist? Before he could ask what she meant, the platforms suddenly rotated, rearranging themselves. The storm intensified. What had been safe steps moments ago now seemed impossible. Lightning arcs converged on a single point. Arin's heart raced. He had to think fast. He closed his eyes for a moment, took a deep breath, and relied not just on logic, but on his gut instincts, something he had learned from years of exploring dangerous space sectors. He leapt from platform to platform, timing each jump perfectly. Lyra's laughter rang through the air, bright and musical. Excellent. You think like me now. Clever, yes? Bold, yes? Human, yes. When he reached the final platform, he collapsed, breathless but exhilarated. The storm below him calmed, the arcs of energy dissipating into soft glows. Lyra floated beside him, a proud smile on her face. You survived, she said. Not because I let you, but because you adapted. That is human strength. Arin panted, trying to regain his composure. Human strength. Yes. But you made it so unpredictable. Most humans would have failed. And that is why I chose you, she replied. You are unpredictable too in your own way. That makes our game interesting. He frowned slightly. Game? I don't understand. Why do you play these tests? Lyra hovered closer, her form glowing brighter. Because understanding is not simple. To know another being, one must see them in action, not in words, not in theory. You must act. You must react. You must grow. Arin studied her, realizing she wasn't just testing him, she was teaching him. Every challenge, every playful trick was a lesson in observation, adaptation, and creativity. It was a human lesson wrapped in alien play. I understand, he said slowly. You want me to grow, to become better. Lyra's eyes sparkled. Yes, but also to teach me. You humans are clever, yet emotional, bold, yet cautious. You balance things in ways my kind does not. I want to see that balance, I want to understand it, and perhaps I want to share it. Arin took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words. Share it? With me? Lyra nodded. Yes, you have something special. Curiosity, courage, and a spark I admire. That is why I chose you. The energy around them shifted again, and suddenly they were standing in a forest unlike any Aaron had seen. The trees glowed with soft light, their leaves shimmering like glass. Strange creatures darted through the branches, leaving trails of color behind. The air hummed with life. You see this world? Lyra asked. It is alive. Every action has a reaction. Every choice matters. You humans are like this too. Every decision, every thought, creates ripples. Aaron nodded slowly. I think I understand, but what about my ship? My crew? Lyra's eyes softened. They are safe. I will return you soon. But first, more learning. Before he could protest, Lyra waved her hand. Small creatures, no bigger than his fist, appeared and began floating around him. They were playful, curious, and seemed to react to his thoughts. Lyra giggled. These are helpers. You will guide them, show them how to move, how to solve simple tasks. Watch their reactions, learn patience, learn leadership. Aaron hesitated. This was strange, and yet exhilarating. Guide them? Like training? Yes, Lyra said. But remember, your goal is not control. It is understanding. To lead without forcing, to teach without demanding. Humans are unique in that way. I want to see it. The next hours, or perhaps minutes, passed in a blur. Aaron discovered that each creature had its own personality. Some were shy, some curious, some mischievous. He had to think carefully about how to interact with each, learning to adapt, to respond, and to observe. Every mistake taught him more. Every success felt rewarding. Lyra floated nearby, occasionally nudging him with a playful remark. Ah, human, you are learning faster than I expected. Clever, bold, surprisingly patient. Aaron laughed, despite himself. You're enjoying this too much? Of course, she replied. What is the point of power if not for play? What is the point of learning if not for joy? By the time the sun-like star in Lyra's world began to shift in color, Aaron felt exhausted but accomplished. He had learned to adapt to her tricks, to anticipate her games, and even to understand the strange creatures of her realm. More than that, he had discovered something about himself. Humans could survive, adapt, and thrive even in situations that seemed impossible. Lyra floated closer, her eyes softening. You have done well today, human. You have shown strength, curiosity, and courage. But more importantly, you have shown heart. That is what fascinates me most. Aaron smiled, feeling a warmth he had not expected. Thank you, Lyra. I've learned a lot from you, too. She nodded, twirling in the air. And I have learned from you. But our journey is not over. There are more lessons, more games, and more wonders. The universe is vast, human, and we have only begun to explore it together. With a final wave, Lyra's form shimmered and vanished. Aaron blinked, and he was back in his ship, floating quietly through the Zelthar cluster. The small crystal in his hand pulsed softly, reminding him of the day's trials. He knew one thing for certain. His life had changed forever. The universe was no longer a series of rules and patterns. It was alive, playful, and full of wonder. And somewhere out there, Lyra was waiting, ready to challenge him again. Aaron set the ship on course, feeling a sense of purpose he had never known. He would return. He would learn. He would grow. And he would show the universe what humans were truly capable of. Captain Aaron Voss sat in the pilot chair of his scout ship, staring out at the nebula as it shimmered and swirled around him. The crystal Lyra had given him glowed softly on the console, pulsing like a heartbeat. He turned it over in his hands, again and again trying to understand its purpose. Somehow it felt alive, as if it were guiding him, or perhaps testing him in ways he could not yet see. He was no stranger to danger or uncertainty, Years of space exploration had taught him to expect the unexpected, but the encounters with Lyra had changed him. Humans were resilient, clever, and adaptable, but Lyra had shown him something more, that intelligence could be playful and power could be gentle. A chime echoed through the ship. Aaron looked up as the holographic projection flickered to life. Lyra appeared, her form shimmering like sunlight on water. "Good human," she said, her voice melodic. "Are you ready for the next lesson?" Aaron straightened. I think so." "What is it this time?" Lyra's small figure floated above the console, spinning playfully. "This time it will be a challenge of trust and courage. You have learned to observe, to adapt, to teach. Now, you must act. You must make choices without knowing all the outcomes." Before Aaron could ask for more explanation, a wave of light enveloped him. When the glow faded, he found himself on a vast plain stretching endlessly in every direction. The ground shimmered as if it were made of glass. Strange plants grew in clusters, each emitting soft music that changed with the wind. In the distance, mountains floated above the horizon, defying gravity. Lyra appeared beside him, giggling. "Welcome to the trial plains. Here, the universe tests not your strength, but your heart. You will face creatures, puzzles, and decisions that cannot be solved by logic alone. Only courage, creativity, and compassion will guide you." Aaron swallowed. The human part of his brain screamed caution, but another part, the part that had grown from his encounters with Lyra, thrilled at the challenge. "I understand," he said. "Show me the way." Lyra clapped her hands, sending ripples of color across the plains. The first challenge appeared. A creature, massive yet fragile, was trapped in a field of energy. Its long, shimmering body pulsed with light, and its eyes, intelligent and pleading, met his gaze. "Save it," Lyra said simply. Aaron analyzed the energy field. It seemed random, but patterns emerged. The energy pulsed in waves, and the creature reacted to them. If he moved too quickly, he risked startling it. Too slowly, and the energy would intensify. Using a combination of careful observation and instinct, he approached the creature, moving step by step in sync with the pulses. Lyra floated nearby, her laughter bright and musical. "Yes, you see the rhythm. You are learning patience." Finally, with a carefully timed leap, Aaron reached the creature and touched it gently. The energy field dissipated, leaving the creature free. It coiled around him in a gesture of gratitude, leaving trails of sparkling light in the air. "Well done," Lyra said. "But this is only the beginning." As the creature darted away, the plains shifted. New challenges appeared. Bridges that moved unpredictably, floating platforms that required precise timing, and strange riddles that spoke aloud, testing his perception and intuition. Each step required focus, courage, and creativity. Aaron realized that Lyra's games were teaching him more than survival. They were teaching him to see patterns, to trust his instincts, and to act with both wisdom and compassion. Hours, or perhaps it was days, passed. Aaron faced obstacles that seemed impossible at first. He learned to guide creatures, navigate shifting landscapes, and solve puzzles by thinking beyond logic. Every success brought satisfaction. Every failure offered insight. Lyra watched with delight, occasionally teasing him or nudging him toward the solution, but never giving it outright. At one point, he reached a massive chasm with no visible bridge. The wind howled, and the floating mountains in the distance seemed impossibly far. Aaron's instincts screamed danger, but he remembered Lyra's words: courage, creativity, and compassion. He closed his eyes for a moment and focused. Then he noticed the small creatures he had helped earlier. They moved in patterns that hinted at a hidden path, their trails of light forming steps across the chasm. Smiling, Aaron followed their guidance, leaping from step to step, heart pounding, until he reached solid ground on the other side. Lyra appeared beside him, clapping. "Brilliant. You trust and you act. That is the heart of a human." Aaron grinned, feeling a surge of pride. I couldn't have done it alone. They helped me. Exactly, Lyra said. Leadership is not about control. It is about understanding, guiding, and trusting. That is why I watch humans. You teach, you learn, and you adapt in ways we do not. As the sun-like star in Lyra's world began to set, the planes shifted again. This time, Aaron faced a new challenge, a series of floating islands, each separated by chasms of shimmering light. On each island, creatures waited, each presenting a different puzzle or problem. Some required strength, some strategy, some compassion. Aaron moved carefully from island to island. He lifted fallen creatures, guided lost ones, and solved riddles that required both logic and empathy. The challenges tested not only his mind and body but his heart. He realized that humans could excel not because they were the strongest or fastest, but because they could combine intelligence, courage, and empathy in ways that were uniquely their own. Lyra watched with admiration. You are extraordinary, human. You think, you feel, you act. That is the essence of life. That is why humans are remarkable. Aaron paused, looking at her. You really believe that? That humans are special? Lyra nodded. Yes. You are not perfect. You make mistakes, you fear, you hesitate, but you try. You grow. And that, Lan, is far more important than perfection. The final island glowed with a soft golden light. A creature larger than any he had seen before approached. Its eyes were deep pools of light, and it spoke, not in words but in feelings, conveying a sense of trust, curiosity, and caution all at once. Aaron took a deep breath. He had faced countless challenges today, but this was different. There was no puzzle, no energy field, no pattern to analyze, only a living being waiting for him to act. He stepped forward slowly, extending a hand in peace. The creature mirrored his gesture, and a wave of warmth and understanding passed between them. Aaron realized that this was the ultimate test, to act with heart, not intellect. Lyra appeared beside him, smiling. Yes, you understand. This is what humans do best. You connect, you empathize, you grow stronger through understanding. That is why you survive, and why you thrive. The planes began to shimmer and dissolve. Aaron felt himself lifted, floating in a swirl of light once more. When he opened his eyes, he was back on his ship, the Zelthar cluster stretching endlessly, outside. The crystal in his hand pulsed gently, a reminder of the day's trials. Aaron sank into his chair, exhausted but exhilarated. Every encounter with Lyra had pushed him further, taught him more, and revealed something essential about humanity: the ability to adapt, to lead, and to connect with others, even in the most alien circumstances. A soft chime echoed through the ship again. The holographic projection of Lyra appeared, her form radiant. You have done well, human. You have learned to act with heart, to lead with empathy, and to trust in your instincts. That is the true strength of your kind. Aaron smiled. Thank you, Lyra. I feel like I understand more now, about myself, and about humans. Lyra's eyes twinkled. And that is only the beginning. The universe is vast, full of wonders, challenges, and mysteries. You have the courage, the cleverness, and the heart to face it all. But the journey continues, and there is much more to learn. As the hologram faded, Aaron felt a sense of purpose unlike any he had known. He was no longer just a scout exploring the stars. He was a representative of humanity, a creature of intelligence and heart, capable of thriving in the most extraordinary circumstances. He set his ship on course for the next sector of the Zelthar cluster, the crystal pulsing gently beside him. Somewhere out there, Lyra was waiting, ready with new lessons, new games, and new challenges, and this time, Aaron felt ready for whatever lay ahead. The stars stretched endlessly before him, each one a reminder that the universe was alive, playful, and full of possibilities. And for the first time, he realized that being human was not A limitation, it was a strength, a spark of potential in an infinite cosmos. Captain Aaron Voss sat quietly in his ship, the small crystal Lyra had given him glowing softly beside the controls. Every time he looked at it, he felt a strange mix of excitement and anticipation. Lyra's lessons were no longer simple games. Each encounter had become a challenge that tested his mind, his courage, and his heart, and he knew that the next trial would be even greater. A soft chime echoed through the cabin. The holographic image of Lyra appeared, her small, shimmering form floating in midair. "Good human," she said, her voice bright and musical. "Are you ready for the next test? Today, you will face something unfamiliar and dangerous." Aaron nodded. "I'm ready." "What is it this time?" Lyra's eyes sparkled. "Patience, cleverness, and courage will guide you, but only if you trust yourself. Step forward and the trial begins." Before he could respond, the ship dissolved into light, and Aaron felt himself lifted into a swirling vortex of colors. When the light faded, he found himself on a floating island surrounded by clouds of silver mist. Towering structures of crystal rose around him, their surfaces reflecting every color of the spectrum. The air hummed with energy, and he could feel it brushing against his mind like invisible fingers. Lyra appeared beside him, giggling. "Welcome to the Crystal Labyrinth. To leave, you must reach the center, but beware. The path shifts, the crystals change, and illusions will test your senses." Aaron looked around, taking in the labyrinth's shifting paths. Some crystals glowed with a soft blue light, others pulsed violently with red energy. Every step seemed uncertain. He took a deep breath, remembering everything he had learned from Lyra so far: observation, patience, empathy, and courage. He moved carefully, testing each step before committing. The floor beneath him shimmered, revealing hidden paths, and some crystals shifted, forcing him to change direction. He realized quickly that the labyrinth was not just a test of physical skill, it was a test of perception, decision-making, and adaptability. A sudden movement caught his eye. Shadows flickered across the crystals, forming shapes that resembled creatures he had never seen. They moved gracefully, almost like dancers, but there was an intelligence in their motion that set his heart racing. He stopped, studying them, trying to predict their next moves. Lyra's laughter rang out, soft and musical. "Do you see them, human? The illusions test your mind. But remember, not everything is what it seems. Trust your instincts and your heart." Aaron nodded, steadying his breath. He focused not only on the creatures but on the patterns of light, the reflections in the crystals, and the small details that repeated in subtle ways. Slowly, carefully, he began to move forward, avoiding the illusions and finding safe paths. Hours passed, or perhaps minutes. Time seemed different here. Each challenge required him to adapt quickly, to think beyond logic, and to trust his own instincts. Some paths led to dead ends, others to mirrors that reflected multiple versions of himself. Each time he made a choice, he learned something new about his own mind, about how to balance analysis with intuition. At one point, he reached a crystal bridge that stretched over a bottomless chasm. The bridge shimmered and shifted, threatening to disappear with each step. Aaron's instincts screamed caution, but he remembered Lyra's lessons: courage, trust, and creativity. He moved carefully, timing each step with the subtle pulse of the bridge. As he crossed, the illusions tried to distract him, whispering voices, flickering images, and shifting reflections, but he stayed focused, and finally, he reached the other side. Lyra appeared beside him, clapping her hands. "Excellent, human. You are learning to balance mind and heart. That is what makes your kind remarkable." Aaron smiled, though he was exhausted. I'm trying. But this labyrinth, it's like nothing I've ever faced." "That is the point," Lyra said, twirling in the air. "The universe is vast, full of challenges, and not all can be solved by logic or strength alone. To survive, to thrive, you must adapt, learn, and grow. Humans are unique because you can do all three at once. As they moved deeper into the labyrinth, Aaron noticed something strange. The crystals began to resonate with his own energy. His heartbeat, his breath, even his thoughts seemed to affect their color and vibration. He realized that Lyra had designed this trial to test not only his mind and courage, but his ability to remain calm and balanced under pressure. A soft voice echoed through the labyrinth, though it was not Lyra's. "Human," it said, melodic and distant. "Do you understand what it means to act with heart?" Aaron paused, thinking carefully. To act with heart is to make choices that are guided not only by logic, but by compassion, courage, and understanding. It is to consider the consequences of your actions and to take responsibility for them. The voice seemed pleased. "Correct. Few beings understand this. Few can combine intellect with empathy." Lyra appeared beside him, her eyes shining with pride. "You are exceptional, Aaron. You are proving that humans are capable of far more than many expect. But there is one final test." Before he could ask what it was, the labyrinth shifted violently. Crystals rose and fell, creating a maze within a maze. The illusions became more intense, shapes of other humans, of strange alien beings, and even glimpses of his own fears and doubts. Aaron felt a moment of panic, but he remembered Lyra's lessons. He breathed deeply, focused, and moved forward step by step, trusting his instincts and the rhythm of the labyrinth. Finally, he reached the center. A massive crystal towered before him, glowing with golden light. Inside, a being waited, a creature of light and energy, radiating warmth and intelligence. It spoke not in words but in feelings, conveying curiosity, caution, and admiration. Aaron approached carefully, extending his hand in peace. The being responded, sending waves of understanding and trust through him. He realized that this was the ultimate test, to act with courage, empathy, and clarity in the face of uncertainty. Lyra appeared beside him, smiling brightly. "Yes, you understand. This is why humans are special. You balance mind, heart, and courage. You learn, adapt, and grow. That is why I chose you." Aaron felt a surge of pride and humility. "Thank you, Lyra. I feel like I am learning not just about your world, but about what it means to be human." "You are learning, yes," Lyra said softly. "But more than that, you are showing others what humans can do. Even in the most alien circumstances, your kind can survive, adapt, and thrive. That is what fascinates me most." The crystal tower dissolved, and Aaron felt himself lifted once again into a swirl of light. When he opened his eyes, he was back on his ship, the Zelthar cluster stretching endlessly outside. The small crystal in his hand pulsed gently, a reminder of the labyrinth and its lessons. Aaron sank into his chair, exhausted but exhilarated. Every encounter with Lyra had tested him in ways he had never imagined, but he had grown stronger, wiser, and more confident. He knew now that humans were not limited by their environment or their fears. They were capable of overcoming any challenge through courage, cleverness, and compassion. A soft chime echoed through the ship. Lyra's holographic image appeared once more. "You have done well, human. You have faced illusions, uncertainty, and fear. You have acted with heart, mind, and courage. That is what makes your kind extraordinary." Aaron smiled. "Thank you, Lyra. I feel ready for whatever comes next." Lyra's eyes sparkled with mischief. "And that is good, because the next challenge will be the greatest yet. But for now, rest. Even the cleverest humans need time to recover." As her image faded, Aaron looked out at the stars, feeling a sense of purpose and determination unlike anything he had known. The universe was vast and full of mysteries, but he was no longer just a human scout. He was a being of courage, cleverness, and heart, capable of thriving in the most extraordinary circumstances. He adjusted the controls of his ship and set a course deeper into the Zelthar cluster, the crystal pulsing softly beside him. Somewhere out there, Lyra was waiting, ready with new lessons, new games, and new wonders. And this time, Aaron felt ready to face them all. The stars stretched endlessly before him, a reminder that the universe was alive, unpredictable, and full of possibilities. And for the first time, he understood that being human was not a limitation. It was a strength, a spark of potential in an infinite cosmos. Captain Aaron Voss sat in the pilot chair of his scout ship, the soft pulse of the crystal Lyra had given him lighting the cabin. He had survived illusions, trials of courage, and tests of empathy, but somehow, a feeling in the air told him that the ultimate challenge awaited. He felt a mixture of anticipation, determination, and a strange excitement that reminded him why he had chosen to explore the stars. A soft chime echoed through the ship. Lyra's holographic form shimmered into existence. Her small frame floated, above the controls glowing with energy. "Good human," she said, her voice both playful and serious. "You have learned patience, courage, and empathy. You have adapted and thrived. But now, you will face a test that combines all these lessons. Are you ready?" Aaron straightened. "I am ready. Whatever it is, I will face it." Lyra's eyes sparkled. "Brave words. Remember, human, courage alone will not be enough. Cleverness, heart, and adaptability will guide you through what comes next." Before he could ask what she meant, the ship dissolved into a swirl of light. When Aaron opened his eyes, he found himself standing at the edge of a vast canyon that stretched farther than he could see. The canyon was alive with energy, streams of bright light moving like rivers, arcs of shimmering particles rising and falling like a storm. Strange creatures glided above the currents, their eyes watching him carefully. Lyra appeared beside him, smiling. "Welcome to the trial of unity. Here you will face obstacles that cannot be solved alone. You will need to combine your mind, heart, and courage. And you will need to inspire others to act with you." Aaron frowned, scanning the canyon. "Others? Who else is here?" Lyra's laughter rang softly. "Look closer, human." At first he saw nothing but the glowing streams and floating creatures. Then he noticed faint shapes moving among the currents. Humans, or creatures very much like humans who seemed lost, frightened, or hesitant. They had been caught by the canyon's strange energy currents, unable to find a safe path. Aaron's heart tightened. Humans like him, explorers, travelers, struggling and afraid. I have to help them," he said. "Yes," Lyra replied. "But you cannot do it alone. You must lead, guide, and inspire. Your cleverness, empathy, and courage will show the way. Are you ready?" Aaron nodded. "I am." The first challenge appeared immediately. One human was stranded on a floating shard of light, swaying dangerously above a river of energy. Aaron moved quickly, using his knowledge from the labyrinth and the plains. He timed the shifting currents, jumped to the shard, and extended a hand. The human grasped it, and together, they moved to a stable platform. Lyra floated nearby, clapping. "Yes, that is human ingenuity combined with compassion. Remember, courage alone is not enough. You must see, understand, and act." More challenges came in quick succession. Humans and alien creatures alike were trapped by energy currents, floating islands, and shifting platforms. Aaron guided them, teaching them to observe the patterns, trust their instincts, and move carefully. At the same time, he faced new dangers. Currents of energy that shifted unpredictably, illusions meant to distract him, and creatures that tested his reactions. Each success built confidence. Each failure taught a lesson. Aaron realized that humans were capable of more than mere survival. They could lead, inspire, and thrive in ways even the most advanced alien minds might not anticipate. Hours passed, though time felt fluid. The canyon shifted constantly, but Aaron kept moving forward. He encouraged the humans he rescued, pointing out safe paths, teaching them to observe the currents and reminding them to stay calm. Slowly, the group grew, a small team of humans united under his guidance. Lyra watched, her small form twirling in the air. Brilliant human, you see? Humans are not just clever individually, they shine brightest when they inspire and protect each other. That is the true strength of your kind. Aaron led the group toward the center of the canyon, where a massive platform of light awaited. Here, the final challenge appeared. A massive creature made entirely of energy, its form shifting like the currents below. Its eyes glowed with intelligence and its movements were graceful but unpredictable. Lyra's voice rang in his mind. The final test is courage, cleverness, and heart combined. You must face it not alone, but with those you have inspired. Aaron swallowed. The creature was immense, and the currents beneath it could sweep them all away in an instant. But he remembered every lesson Lyra had taught him: observation, patience, trust, adaptability, and leadership. Everyone, stay calm, he called. Watch the patterns of its movement, trust me, and follow my lead. The group obeyed, moving cautiously as Aaron guided them. He noticed the creature's rhythm, its patterns of attack and retreat, the subtle changes in its glowing energy. Using clever timing, careful observation, and teamwork, he led the humans in coordinated movements, avoiding its strikes and creating openings to pass safely. Lyra floated nearby, her eyes shining. Yes. That is it, human. Cleverness, courage, and empathy all working together. That is humanity at its finest. Finally, they reached the center of the platform. The creature paused, its glowing eyes meeting Aaron's. There was a long, tense moment where the canyon seemed to hold its breath. Then the creature bowed its massive head, acknowledging the human's courage, leadership, and compassion. The energy currents calmed, and the platform glowed with golden light. Aaron exhaled, feeling a wave of relief and accomplishment. We did it, he whispered. Around him, the humans cheered quietly, some laughing with joy, others simply in awe. He realized that humans were capable not only of surviving the unknown, but of inspiring and guiding others to do the same. Lyra appeared beside him, her small form glowing brighter than ever. You have succeeded, Aaron Voss. You have combined every strength a human can offer: cleverness, courage, and heart. You have led, inspired, and grown. That is why I chose you. Aaron smiled, feeling a warmth he had never known. I couldn't have done it alone. They trusted me, and I trusted them. And that, Lyra said softly, is the essence of humanity. You are clever, bold, and compassionate. You adapt, inspire, and thrive. That is why you survive, and why your kind continues to grow and explore. Humans are remarkable. The canyon dissolved, replaced by the familiar darkness of space. Aaron felt himself back on his ship, the Zelthar cluster stretching endlessly outside. The crystal pulsed gently beside him, a reminder of the final trial and the lessons he had learned. He sat back in his chair, exhausted but exhilarated. Every encounter with Lyra had challenged him, taught him, and shown him the true potential of humans. He realized that it was not just his own cleverness or courage that had brought him this far, but the combination of mind, heart, and collaboration with others. A soft chime echoed through the cabin. Lyra's holographic image appeared one last time, her eyes filled with pride. You have completed the trials, human. You have learned, grown, and shown what it means to be truly remarkable. You are clever, courageous, and compassionate. And that is humanity at its best. Aaron smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment unlike anything he had known. Thank you, Lyra. I've learned more than I could have imagined, about humans, and about what it means to explore, adapt, and survive. Lyra nodded. And remember, Aaron, this is only the beginning. The universe is vast, full of wonders, challenges, and mysteries. You have proven that humans can rise to meet anything, and inspire others along the way. That is your gift. As her image faded, Aaron looked out at the stars, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. He was no longer just a human scout exploring the galaxy. He was a representative of humanity, capable of cleverness, courage, and compassion in ways that could change the course of events across the universe. He adjusted the ship's controls and set a course for the next adventure. The Zelthar cluster stretched endlessly before him, full of possibilities and challenges. And somewhere out there, Lyra would be waiting, ready to test, teach, and explore alongside him. Aaron took a deep breath and smiled. The stars glimmered like scattered diamonds, each one a reminder that the universe was alive, unpredictable, and full of wonder. And for the first time, he truly understood that being human was not a limitation. It was a strength, a spark of potential that could shine in even the most alien corners of existence. With courage in his heart, cleverness in his mind, and empathy guiding his actions, Captain Aaron Voss prepared to step forward, ready to show the universe what humans were truly capable of. The adventure was far from over. The galaxy awaited. And humanity, bold, clever, and compassionate, was ready to rise to any challenge.